Vine to Bar chocolate. Visit us at vinetobar.com.
A CRN original.
Attention, you are about to hear the captivating voice of an icon in the movie industry. You have heard him and seen him in performances in over 140 films. He's met and influenced many world leaders, and now he's about to tell you how to unite the America he loves.
That job's filled.
Unique.
Unique.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
And unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Robert Davi is a Renaissance man who writes, directs, sings, and does it all with excellence.
Yeah, it's okay. We're all very impressed, but let's get on with it now.
Robert Davi believes he should use his voice to both repay and help unite America, the America that made his dreams come true.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Robert Davi Show.
Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at in America. I'm Kent Emmons, sitting in for Robert Davi. I love that intro, by the way. We have producer Nick here, Nick Davi. One of the radio... Actually, you're a fantastic producer. I hear so many great things about you. I'm glad we finally get to work together today. Yeah, and it was interesting on the intro, your dad's intro. He's met and influenced many world leaders. I bet he's met and intimidated the hell out of some of those guys. That's what it is. He keeps him on the straight and narrow. He keeps him in that conservative lane.
Oh, yeah. He's a character for sure, and he likes to stay on that straight line.
I love it. Well, it's glad to be sitting here at his microphone this morning, and we've got some great guests today. Today is all about freedom. It's all about fun. And, you know, we've got a guy that's going to be with us here in just a second, Alex Borla. Alex escaped communism, came over here as a kid, and built one of the most recognizable brands in the automotive business. Eric Golub, comedian, is coming on with us. Best-selling author, attorney, and television personality Barry Nussbaum will be joining us by phone. Jim Jimirro, who is the founding creator and CEO of the Disney Channel, and a great conservative, a great patriot. He'll be here with us as well. And then we'll have a little fun later on. Bart Baggett is the #1 handwriting expert in the world, the #1 guy. So when court cases go to court and they need a handwriting expert, he's the guy. Hey, he also can analyze personalities by signatures. So we're going to have some fun today with that. We've got Gavin Newsom. We're going to analyze his signature. I hate to see where that goes. Joe Biden, even Kamala Harris, and Willie Brown, and maybe what made them such a great, hot, swinging couple back in the 80s and 90s. So we'll have a lot of fun. Right now, I want to bring in Alex Borla. Alex Borla, like I said, has created one of the most recognizable names in the automotive business. Borla. If you're a race guy, if you've got a really nice car, typically the first thing you do is you want it to sound great. And Borla has created a company that's 42, 43 years old, and it's all over the world. So, Alex, it's great to have you here with us.
It's a great honor.
Come on up to the mic. There you go.
Kent, it's a great honor. It's an honor on many, many levels. It's an honor to have an opportunity to spend some time with you. It's an honor to actually be, at least if not presently, in the
United States
company of Robert Davi. You know, it's been my idol. It's been my man. You know, so this is a hell of a bonus.
Well, you are the idol to a lot of people, and it's always interesting being out at an automotive event with you. One, your fabulous car collection, but two, what you've done for the automotive business as far as what cars sound like, how they perform and stuff. You've built an amazing operation. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I really want to talk about, you escaped communism, years and years ago in Romania, when everything was going to hell in a handbasket there. You escaped it. So you've lived it, and you've seen this movie before. Can you draw a parallel between what happened to you back then and what's going on in the United States right now? Are you seeing similarities?
Bear in mind that as a child, I watched Stalin grow to power. Okay, he was probably one of the most draconians of the recent leaders within communism. And much what I saw, I didn't quite understand, but I retained. And as I was getting older, I started unpacking it, and I started understanding it.
Right. Okay. How did you, when you were growing up, you grew up a middle-class family in Romania? Your dad was a dentist, right?
My dad was a dentist. My mother was a controller of a large canning facility. Most people at that particular time, I lived in a little town with about 13,000 people, didn't even go to high school. So for having educated people was a very rare commodity, and they were considered to be enemies of communism because they had the ability to think.
But you were living a pretty normal family life, right?
We started out living a relatively normal family life until communism started taking hold. I was born in 1946, right after the war. I was raised by parents who were survivors of the Holocaust. So I've seen and I've listened to and I heard some of the worst that humanity has ever committed. So,
what happened? What happened? Your story. I know that people, they move families into your house and things like that. Let's talk about that, and then let's talk about what those parallels are in what's happening today.
Look, the concepts and the principles of communism, the egalitarian concepts of everybody becomes an equal, nobody is above anybody else, is basically what the whole foundation is. And if you have a large house that can house 3 other families, then the 2 other families will move in.
Right.
That's basically being an egalitarian.
But the government forced that on you guys.
The government forced that on you. You have no choice. First of all, they nationalize everything. You don't own anything.
So you went from ownership of your home to the government basically saying, we now own your home, and by the way, here's 2 families you've never seen before that are going to live with you.
My grandfather built our house. My mother was born in it. I was born in it. Okay, it was nationalized. Okay, everything, anything that had anything to do with any ownership was nationalized. Instead of one person owning something, everybody owned a piece of everything. It's like a public toilet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what were the signs? I mean, obviously you weren't looking for it back then. Now you can draw those parallels because you've seen it before. But what were some of those signs? Was it through the media? What were some of the signs that communism was creeping in?
You were only allowed to read and listen to radio that belonged to the government. Okay, if you were caught listening to Radio Free Europe, for instance, okay, you went to jail. Okay, so it was a very protracted message that was basically sent to everybody. If you had an opinion other than even some slight criticism of one of the leaders in your state or in your city, okay, and your neighbor overheard you, if he didn't report you and he was found out to have heard you, okay, he would go to jail. Okay, so this cancer culture that we're experiencing today,
right?
Okay, this is only the beginning.
So, drawing those parallels to back then, what are you seeing right now? I mean, and when did it start for you? When was the first sign that you saw this thing was going down? And because it seems like it's going exponentially faster unless we turn around and do something.
Look, without spending too much time on the foundation of where communism came from in the United States, progressiveness was here already in the late 1800s. So this is nothing new. Okay, the universities have been part and parcel of all of that from the beginning. So that's nothing new. Okay, the acceleration now and the emboldenment of the socialists basically is basically what everybody's witnessing, but nobody fully appreciates and understands the consequences.
Right. But what are the consequences? What happens, and what are these specific signs you're seeing happening? Well, let's pick it up 20 years ago and bring it up to speed, because it seems like it's going faster and faster every day that goes by.
Look, socialism and government control, for the lack of a better word, it really doesn't matter what the ideology is. It's basically a centralized control of everybody. Okay, it's already been part and parcel of the American government. Okay, by just the means of the 3 different arms of government. Okay, the administrative arm, okay, is an enforcement arm. Okay, administrative arm, if you have any issues with anybody in any one of the agencies that belong to the administrative arm, you cannot go to court and sue them.
Right.
Okay? They are an autocratic group.
And these are the bureaucrats. These aren't the elected officials you see. No, these are the bureaucrats underneath those folks.
So we are basically already on our way to a single-party autocracy. Okay, I am of the belief that I can live under it. I don't like it. I don't want it. At the end of the day, if it happens, I'm probably better equipped to survive in it and even thrive in it than you are.
Well, you've seen it before.
I know what to do.
Right.
Okay? It's a very corrupt way of life. I don't particularly relish it or want it. Okay, but corruption works, and you can survive.
What are some of the examples of it showing up for us today?
The first thing that really opened my eyes was when Schiff dragged his potential witnesses down into the basement of the Capitol building.
Talking about Adam Schiff during the Russia trial, or the Russia hearings.
Okay, that is the means and methods are extremely KGB. I mean, that is.
How so?
Well, that's what the KGB does. You basically trump up a story, okay? You find potential witnesses that, will basically back you up. You find those who are vulnerable, you threaten them, you put them on a stand, and if they don't say what they say they're going to do, they're going to go to jail.
And it was interesting how they did this in the cloak of darkness in the basement, literally locked up. And apparently all the cell phones were supposed to be put away. No one was supposed to have their cell phone. Don Jr. was in there. He was telling me he was in there for 9 hours. There were supposed to be no cell phones. When he got out and got his cell phone back, people had already been tweeting out stuff from that hearing. So they'd been tweeting it out from these guys. Schiff and his posse had been doing that.
It's totally self-serving.
It's unbelievable to me. What's the best way to stop this thing? I mean, we've got a great group of patriots here to do it. What's the best way of stopping it, or at least slowing it down for a little bit?
I think the best way to stop it is to basically educate the average American on what the unintended consequence of it is if it happens.
Got it. What about the general population who they have no clue? I mean, they're clueless to all of this stuff. And by the way, we've got about 60 seconds. I want to pack in. I want you back. Can you come back again sometime?
Anytime you want.
Can you do it? 2 quick tips on what we can do to help stop this thing. Donald Trump was a great speed bump, but they rolled over him too.
I think what the Americans lack is courage.
Yep.
Okay, I think the women demonstrated that they have courage. They're the ones who basically started a movement by protecting their children.
Yep.
I think if the men wake up and follow them,
agree.
I think we will survive.
There are some really angry mama bears out there. I was speaking at the Beverly Hills Conservative Club the other night. It was amazing watching these mamas coming out. Alex Borla, it's great to have you with us. Borla.com is your website. Of course, amazing products all over the world. Alex Borla, great to have you in here. I'm Kent Emmons, filling in for the great Robert Davi right here on CRN Talk Radio Networks. Back in just a few minutes.
Attention real estate investors. Do you need cash immediately? If you own one or multiple rental properties, you can use your equity to get cash out fast. The best part is we don't need tax returns or even a good credit score. At America's Loan Source, we are not a bank and we don't have bank rules. We make the decisions to loan you money, and there's no limit how much we can give you. Some clients have gotten as much as $500,000 or more within days. Use the money any way you want. If you own one rental property or 100 and COVID has left you in a cash crunch, we can help you turn your equity into fast cash. Call now for details and close in as little as 10 days and get the cash you need. 800-353-1760. 800-353-1760. 800-353-1760. That's 800-353-1760.
I'm Al Simon, 91 years young. I created Balance 7 20 years ago. At 67, I went to see the doctor for the first time in my life and found that I had medical problems. He told me that was normal for my age. I don't believe God intended us to be sick and old. I decided to find something to bring my health back. For 10 years, I studied pH and how important it is to the human system. Balance 7 gave me back what I lost by getting older. I no longer get out of bed with a joint discomfort. Balance 7 can do for you what it has done for me and many others. In 3 days' time, you'll feel more energy, less joint discomfort, and clarity of thinking. No doctor or hospital can do what Balance 7 can do for you. Balance 7 is the key to unlocking the healthy immune system. Bring your body back to balance. Order now. Receive free shipping with the code word AL. Go to balance7.com. That's balance7.com. Order now and get your free shipping and a free gift with your order. Go to balance7.com. Use the code word AL.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644.
Robert Davi.
I want you to know this is nothing personal. It's purely business.
You've done this recently. Time or two. Hey folks, Kent Emmons here, sitting in for the great Robert Davi right here on CRN Talk Radio Network. It's a great show. We just had Alex Borla on here. By the way, Alex is still sitting in the studio here with us. I want to talk to this guy all day long. He escaped communism and built a company that's known around the world, a treasured company. Coming up soon, we've got Jim Jimirro, the founder and CEO, former CEO, retired CEO of the Disney Network, who's a great patriot, great conservative right here in the great state of California, and Bart Baggett, handwriting expert, who's going to have a little fun with him and some of these crazies we're going to analyze the handwriting of. First, right now I've got on comedian, a buddy of mine. We were actually speaking at the Beverly Hills Conservative Club together the other night and just loved this guy. He's a best-selling author. Eric Golub. Eric, are you around?
America forever, France never. Great to be with you, sir.
It's great to have you with us. What do you make of this mess?
Oh, I think it's paradise. I mean, sometimes you have to just let people self-destruct. It took Carter to bring about Reagan, and you know, it's not all bad, okay? At least Joe Biden has angered France and destroyed women's sports. Otherwise, he's a problem.
So true, so true. Of course, you know, for guys like us, I ran comedy networks for years, and you've been a great comedian that I've loved for many, many years. It's gold for us. What else you seen happening out there?
You know, the thing is you have to enjoy life. I mean, yes, there's a lot of things to be upset about, but we can't be in a constant state of rage. Otherwise, we'd be MSNBC. So, you know, there is plenty of good news out there. The midterms are shaping up to be an absolute bloodbath. In fact, it's gotten so bad now that Joe Biden is going to try to convince us he's a Republican. So he is so politically toxic. And to see Nancy Pelosi tearing her hair out every time a member of the squad speaks, she's like, I'm 82. I want to get through the day, okay? And Liz Warren always has that look like she and Hillary Clinton finished a bran muffin eating contest. I mean, if they are miserable, that should tell us that maybe things are not as bad as they seem.
You're so true, so true. So, Eric, the other night, you had out some of your T-shirts. You create, and of course, you sell a ton of these things. They're awesome. Would you read a couple of these off for us? I thought they were classic.
Thank you. We've got one that says, you wear a mask for your protection, I carry a gun for mine. One of them that's more caustic, I'm the leader of the Blesbevaxicorn movement. I self-identify as a black lesbian unicorn who's been vaccinated. And one of my best sellers, I got so sick of Black Lives Matter, this matters, that matters. So I don't want to win the argument. I just want to end the conversation with them. So one of my best-selling T-shirts says, no lives matter, you all suck. And I knew I had a winner when young black people came up to me at LAX airport, saw my T-shirt, and said, oh, my God, I have to take a picture with you. They're texting it to their friends, and some white liberals were offended. And these young black people were like, what's wrong with you? This is funny.
I love it. I tell you, the way you're taking it on, and you're taking it on with great humor, and there's not too many conservative or common sense comedians out there. And what I find that's interesting about it is you guys are actually funny. You're not like the angry ones who, you know, during Trump's presidency, these angry lefties, it was angry and it wasn't really that funny. Even to the libs were going, God, this is not funny. But Eric, you've been out there jamming away with it.
Yeah, when you're motivated by hatred, people are going to tune it out. I mean, after a while, you start to think, you know, are we living in North Korea where we get shot to death if we have an opinion? You know, I think the reason why I'm lighthearted about things is because when I was young, my dad's a Holocaust survivor, and I remember when I was age 14, I complained to him that social studies class was too difficult, and my father looked at me with no sympathy whatsoever and said, "Did the teacher try to shoot you?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Shut up and get upstairs." So, you know, everybody needs to quit being spoiled brats. We live in the greatest nation on earth. We're going through a temporary bump. The midterms will correct that. Everything is going to be fine. You know, it's always darkest before the dawn, or as, you know, John McCain said, Mao Zedong used to say, it's always darkest before it goes completely black. And if it goes completely black, we have nothing to worry about.
So true. So who do you think is going to be the one that's the breakout butt of every joke in this upcoming midterm? Who are you betting on?
You know, you got to give it to Joe Biden, because the fact is that, you know, I'm old enough to remember when Joe Biden was actually lucid. I mean, Joe Biden is like the poster child for the Nancy Reagan Just Say No campaign. And actually, you know, they used to say that if you took Ozzy Osbourne records and played them backwards, you heard a satanic message. Okay, if you play a Joe Biden speech backwards, it's comprehensible. You know, Joe Biden kind of reminds me of, like, Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. He's destructive. There's chaos all around him. And I listen to his speeches, and I hear him say things like, "Gubba de gobbly." I'm like, I don't know what he's saying. And the best part about him is that if you don't understand what Joe Biden is saying, that's okay, because neither does he.
I love it. And, you know, the fact that he's just one man, one guy, can bring the word malarkey back into the conversation. I mean, that says a lot right there. Eric, it's been great having you on here. I've got to jump on with Barry Nussbaum here in a second. But where can people find you, and where can people buy your T-shirts?
Find me on Facebook under my name, Eric Golub, or under my Instagram, Tiger Express, TYG, quadruple R Express. And I want to thank Robert Davi for uniting with Saddam Hussein to promote Frank Sinatra's music.
Absolutely. Oh, God. Eric, it's great having you with us. Looking forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
God bless.
That was the great Eric Golub, comedian extraordinaire, fun guy. If you do get a chance, check out his T-shirt collection. He had about 30 of them out the other night, and everybody was going crazy over them. Standing by on the line, I've got a dear friend, a great guy. He's a best-selling author. Barry Nussbaum is in the house. He's got a couple of, actually go over some headlines. And Barry, we got to do them kind of quick. But Barry, let's do a little quick hit of Did You Know?
Great to be with you, Kent. Thanks for having me on. And we'll start off with presidential polling.
Presidential polling. What do you got?
Did you know that in the history of polling, it goes back to the Truman days, no president has sunk so far, so fast in his first year in office as Sleepy Joe Biden. It's the all-time plunge record in the first year in office. He's down to 43% approval. He's dropping 6 to 10 points per month. The more he's in office, the worse it gets.
Is 43% where it's at right now?
It's between 42 and 43% approval. And some other polls are saying they see it in the 30s.
I saw a 38 and a 39 last night.
Yeah, different sources are saying it's horrible. It's like falling off a cliff. I guess it just depends on what hour you're polling, but every poll gets 1 or 2 ticks worse.
Wow, that's crazy. Is that our play music? Are we going out? So Nick is saying we're going out. Brother Barry, can you stick around with me for one more segment, for about a half a segment?
Sure, of course.
Listen to these great commercials of these great products right here on TRN Networks. I'm Kent Emmons, filling in for the great Robert Davi. Back in just a few minutes. More Barry Nussbaum and Bart Baggett. But Jim Jimirro next segment, too. Founding CEO of the Disney Channel.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1,800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
The Robert Davi Show.
This is authentic.
Una furtiva lacrima negli occhi.
You've tuned in to the Robert Davi Show. I'm Kent Emmons, sitting in for the great Robert Davi. A very difficult chair and microphone to fill, but I'm glad to be doing it. Still with us on the line, best-selling author, attorney, and just one of the greatest media talking heads. I just love this guy, Barry Nussbaum. Barry, we got a couple of minutes. Let's do a few Did You Knows. Keep us up to date on what's going on.
Well, in your former state, soon-to-be former state, let me correct that, Kent, California, under the auspices of the almost recalled Governor/Emperor Newsom, did you know he has mandated all school kids to get COVID shots? No COVID shot, no school. The survival rate now on the newest study worldwide of 500,000 kids in school with COVID, the survival rate, 99.995%. These children are more likely to die of being hit by a car or having a meteor land on them. but we are going to have 20 or 30 million school children in California told, get the shots or no school, and the side effects be damned.
And the side effects, by the way, highly, highly suppressed by almost every media outlet on the planet. CRN Talk Radio is not one of those who suppresses these numbers. Barry, let's do one more Did You Know? What do you got for us?
I got a big one for you, Kent. Did you know there's a possibility that if the GOP retains the House majority in 2022, which many pundits are suggesting will happen, Congressman Matt Gaetz is leaking the story that he will propose Donald Trump as Speaker of the House.
I love it.
Confirmed. It would make him the third in line to be President of the United States. It's never happened where a non-member of the House becomes Speaker, but there's now a ruling from the House that it is legal because the Congress is not prohibited from doing it by the Constitution. Wow, would that be something?
How sweet would that be? And by the way, tweet at Matt Gaetz and make that happen. Matter of fact, if I'm back on next time I'm back on this show, I'd love to grab Matt and get him on the. He's a great guest, but two, a fantastic patriot, and he's got a second. Alex Borla just seconded that motion to bring Trump on as Speaker of the House. All right, Barry, it's great to have you with us. Where do they find you?
AmericanTruthProject.org, and anyone that wants to get our information for free, it's so simple. If you just take out your cell phone, you put in the message box the word truth, T-R-U-T-H, and you send it to the number 88202, push send. You'll be signed up for free. You'll get all of our content on your cell phone, never charge, and it includes stuff that we do with the great Kent Emmons.
And you know what? He's actually throwing in his own brand of pillow now. Barry's Pillows. It's out of my pillow. Barry Nussbaum, I love you, brother. It's great to have you with us. We'll catch you again next time. Thanks for the fun info.
My pleasure. Take care.
You're tuned into the Robert Davi Show. Kent Emmons here sitting in. We've got on the line with us one of America's actual #1 handwriting expert. This guy is great. He does court cases all over the place. If there's, and you see him on television all the time. I used to love it, especially when he was on Larry King Off, and you guys had great chemistry. Bart Baggett is in the house. Bart, how are you?
I am doing great, Kent. I'm so glad to be on your show and talk a little politics and people.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is, you and I have known each other and been very close friends for 20, 25 years. And, it's fun watching you analyze handwriting of people who are, well-known, some famous, some infamous. You've done a lot of these mass murders. You've done a lot of politicians. You've done celebrities. Today, I'd love to go in and analyze a couple of folks. Joe Biden, since he's the president, let's take him, for instance. What does his handwriting look like, and what do you read into a guy like that?
Yeah, and you've seen me do handwriting for, just friends. And then when I do politics, it's funny because half the audience hates me no matter what I say, and the other half thinks I'm a genius. Because people have a difficult time separating sort of personality and sort of an observational science like what I do with their belief systems. And so, as you know, most of my business forensics in court, and the judges have no problem with the identity part. But we start talking about Biden, if you already hate him, what I'm about to say may thrill you. And if you already love him, what I may have to say may piss you off.
Let's hear it.
Talk about Biden. So he actually has a very good self-esteem. He is ambitious, which I think all politicians are. And like all politicians, they can be charming and they can be sweet and kind. Here's his Achilles heel, and I didn't know this till I saw his handwriting because I didn't see it in his personality. But he is like a really big wimp when it comes to criticism. And it actually hurts his feelings. Like, imagine you're 17 years old, you ask a girl to dance, she says no, and you go cry. Like, he's that sensitive, and when people are that sensitive, they're very easy to manipulate, and they hold grudges. Now, I don't know him personally, Kent. You probably do. Is there something about him that makes him such a big baby and try and please everybody?
I think with him, he's just phony. I mean, I've known him since he was a senator, and he was just as phony back then. But the whole idea really with him is he's got a money machine there. When you hear these pundits say it's a crime syndicate, that's really what he's got. And there's nothing real with Joe Biden, which is why I was really surprised that that some people actually do like him. If you meet him in person, you will find that nothing is real. I'll tell you this. I made the mistake, this is back probably 15 years ago, of making a hair transplant joke sitting next to him at a broadcaster convention at a breakfast. I also had a couple of hair transplants. He denied it right there at the table. And this is back before he got his fix. They all looked like those baby doll cornrows. I mean, literally, he turned, looked at some of the other broadcasters, talked, and didn't say anything to me until it was time to say goodbye. And we were just having fun with it. The guy's just a phony.
Well, I think that's it. He's so concerned with those things, which is interesting because, you know, you talk about Donald Trump, who's the dead opposite. He's also concerned with his image, but he doesn't care what Kent Emmons, thinks about him. And people get this issue confused with being sensitive or vanity. And I can't wait to talk about Gavin Newsom because like I said, you know me, I'm not super political, but I love digging into these personality traits. And Donald Trump wants everyone to adore him and respect him, but I don't think he cares if Bart Baggett likes him or Kent Emmons likes him or his wife likes him. He's got such a shield defense mechanism where Biden, I think, is much bigger of a baby.
Got it. And what do you, when you analyze this stuff, what do you read into it? Is it the lines? Is it the sharpness? Is it the how legible it is? What do you read into these? How do you read into these?
To make a long 2-year course short, is that there's about 99 sort of strokes that you can have in handwriting, and some of them are very general and ambiguous. And you look on the internet and you think, oh, this is a bunch of horse manure. But sometimes you see things like a loop at a D or height of a T-bar or a little hook that says, you know, woman's angry at men or man's angry at women that really is unique. And you're like, that came from damage. Like I was looking at Ivanka Trump's handwriting, right? And there's something about her handwriting that reveals a lot of emotional damage from childhood. And that's just not something you would know in the general public. It's not something you could guess. But anytime you see weird backward Ys like she has, something happened in her childhood that was really emotionally damaging. And that's the kind of stuff people go, holy cow. And come up here and let's talk privately about this, Bart. Stop doing it in public. I'm embarrassed.
Very interesting. You know, we've got about a minute left. I want to get into and I may hold you over, Bart, if you can, till after the break. Let's do AOC, and then after the break, I want to come back and I want to do the two lovebirds, the Willie Brown and Kamala Harris. What do you make of AOC's handwriting? What do you read into her personality?
AOC's a trip. Her signature is almost illegible. So visually, it's just big ovals. And this is interesting because I coined a new word looking at her writing. She's unearned self-confidence. So she's got this big sense of self-importance. I own the room. You should worship me. But when I look at her normal handwriting, which is what you and I just write, she's a normal human being. She's not overly bright. She's got a lot of resentment. She's got average self-esteem. But this ego is, I don't know what planet does she think she's from to earn this much respect when she's not as bright as I think she's not.
That's pretty amazing. Bart Baggett, #1 handwriting expert in the world. We're going to come back in just a few minutes, analyze the handwriting of Kamala Harris and Willie Brown. Back in just a few minutes. Kent Emmons filling in for Robert Davi.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
Hi,
My name is Lily. My mom and dad used to fight about money all the time. Then one day, I heard them talking about this guy, some uncle I never knew, called Uncle Sam. Well, they say this Uncle Sam guy wanted them to pay him like $1 gazillion, and they didn't have $1 gazillion. So they called this company they heard on the radio called the Tax Doctor. And the Tax Doctor worked with Uncle Sam's people. I think they're called the IRS. And they were able to work it out so my mom and dad didn't have to pay Uncle Sam very much money at all. So now mom and dad are happy, and I'm happy too. Thanks, Tax Doctor.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, call now and pay less. 800-391-8713. 800-391-8713. That's 800-391-8713.
I'm Al Simon, 91 years young. I created Balance 7 20 years ago. At 67, I went to see the doctor for the first time in my life and found that I had medical problems. He told me that was normal for my age. I don't believe God intended us to be sick and old. I decided to find something to bring my health back. For 10 years, I studied pH and how important it is to the human system. Balance 7 gave me back what I lost by getting older. I no longer get out of bed with a joint discomfort. Balance 7 can do for you what it has done for me and many others. In 3 days' time, you'll feel more energy, less joint discomfort, and clarity of thinking. No doctor or hospital can do what Balance 7 can do for you. Balance 7 is the key to unlocking the healthy immune system. Bring your body back to balance. Order now. Receive free shipping with the code word AL. Go to balance7.com. That's balance7.com. Order now and get your free shipping and a free gift with your order. Go to balance7.com. Use the code word AL.
The Robert Davi Show.
Mike? You let me down, Mike. You're making me look bad. I thought we had an understanding. And all I expect is a little cooperation!
Sorry, Robert.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Kent Emmons sitting in for the great Robert Davi. We've got on the line the world's #1 handwriting expert, Bart Baggett, and we're analyzing the traits of people. You know, you can actually analyze people's personalities pretty accurately through their handwriting. And I wanted to save kind of the two best for last, Kamala Harris and Willie Brown. Now, for those of you who don't know much about California politics, Kamala Harris actually started as a failed assistant prosecutor up in Alameda County, California. I mean, she had no wins whatsoever until she started seeing, she was 29 at the time, she started seeing Willie Brown. Willie Brown was the Speaker of the House at the time. Willie was about 9,000 years old then. I think he was actually like 62 or 63. And lo and behold, she got a promotion. And she also got promoted to a couple of not promoted, but appointed to some boards that she had no experience on, where she was getting $90,000 from one a year, $80,000 from another. Again, zero experience, but an affair with Willie Brown that went on for quite some time. Now, cut to her ascension into other places, Willie is who has taken her all along with these things. So I want to analyze both their handwriting just to see if they are or are not a match. Of course, they quit seeing each other quite some time ago, and this is all public. We're not telling anything out of tail or gossiping. So let's start with Kamala Harris's handwriting. What do you think, Bart?
You know, it's interesting. I know that there's politics behind conversation, but if I didn't know who was analyzing, I would think I'm just analyzing a very attractive female talk show host. She's good with her words. She can weave words. She can tell funny jokes. Like, she seems incredibly charming to me. Again, I'm a straight guy, so I like seductive women. But is she like sharp and analytical and prosecutor, DA? No, she's just a really sweet, kind, sort of seductive woman, which might be the charm she had over Willie Brown at 29 years old. And I think what you're implying, Kent, is, yeah, she may be sweet, kind, pretty seductive, but she didn't earn her way up the ladder. I think that's the message I'm getting from you. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, but I think you take a look at Willie Brown. She earned probably every promotion she got. I mean, just not too accomplished.
That's not very nice, Kent. That's right. By the way, I did not know who Willie Brown was, even though I have lived in California a while. I found his handwriting very similar to Kamala's as far as compatibility. They're both expressive. They both have, this emotional storytelling, the ability to weave great stories. And maybe that's part of politics. I know, and you and I have a lot of radio background, so most radio hosts have these figuresses and connected letters, and they can talk their way out of a parking ticket. They can talk their way out of anything, including talk their way into somebody's bedroom or into, an Oval Office.
Yeah, there you go. And look where she made it to. Anyway, Bart Baggett, it's great to have you on with us. I hate to cut you short, but you're being totally outnumbered here. You've got we have Jim Jimirro, and Jim, say hi to Bart. Bart, Jim. Jim is the founding CEO and creator of the Disney Channel and a great conservative, one of my great mentors. I don't know if you guys have ever met together at one of my parties or anything like that, but Jim is in the house with us. And Bart, first of all, before you go, Bart, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, stop by BartBaggett.com or just Google my name. I've got a lot of cool stuff on forensics, and any of my courses, just say Kent Emmons. We'll give you some of those basic courses for free. BartBaggett.com, and you guys have a great Friday afternoon, guys.
Bart's got an amazing profile on Tinder and Grindr also, so check that out.
Enjoyed it, Bart.
Brother Bart, I'll see you soon, buddy.
Bye, guys.
Sitting here on the left-hand side with me is Jim Jimirro, who is to me, just one of the greatest media entrepreneurs on the planet. Jim started with CBS International many, many years ago and worked his way into owning National Lampoon when it was actually a thriving brand before those two morons got a hold of it years ago. But, the guy behind Van Wilder and some of these great movies. But you're also very involved in the news side of the media business. What do you see that's going on in the news space here that has any semblance of credibility? Is there anything credible out there right now?
There really isn't in mainstream media, Kent. And it's kind of interesting. I got interested in media's role in influencing political life when I was back in college, and I knew for a long time that media was biased in a lot of ways. They had a point of view that they injected into their news stories. But now it's almost quaint to call media bias, because it's beyond that. It's really gone to advocacy. The mainstream media is actually advocating for certain things. They've got a certain worldview, good, bad, or indifferent. I happen to think it's not so good. They've got a worldview, and they filter all of their news through that worldview. And actually, the New York Times was exposed as having an internal memo that documented that they said to their people in style, in sports, in food, in fashion, that even those non-hard news areas need to be filtered through the idea of their particular worldview. And as a consequence, they are controlling almost virtually everything that happens in this country. And I say it all the time, Kent. When something happens, good, bad, or indifferent, I end up saying, none of this would have happened were it not for the media, and that is almost inevitably true. So they are really the major force for whatever this country is going. Now we're talking now about mainstream media. There is some balance in this country now, Fox News, talk radio, the show you're doing right now. But quantitatively, the mainstream media, the three networks, CNN, the great newspapers, New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, they dominate the media landscape, except for a few exceptions. You
take a Fox News, for instance, who, if you're on the right, you've found to be, relatively credible home over the years. But, during this last election and then during this pandemic, I've found it to be really wishy-washy. And, you've got, whether you're a vaccine person or not a vaccine person, whatever, the fact that with all the news outlets and a lot of the other mainstream media folks, the pharmaceutical companies could intimidate them so badly by basically threatening, hey, if you criticize or you question the vaccine, likely you're going to lose all your pharmaceutical advertising, not just the ones with the vaccines, but all the advertising. How does something like that get corrected? Because there's so much money in that. And of course, the news outlets are not going to cover that veiled threat because the threat is against them. But how do you overcome that?
Well, it's very difficult because, like you say, money does talk, and I think that you're generally right about Fox. They generally lean to the right. But they do have a lot of blind spots there, and I think a lot of it comes from fear. I think they're in the final analysis, they're going against the mainstream movement of this country right now, media-wise, and I think that there's a little fear that creeps in. And also, I'd like to point out that sometimes people talk about an equivalency between CNN and Fox or CNN and MSNBC. It's not really quite that. Fox is demonstrably less biased to the right than those networks are to the left. And by that, just take a look at the number of, say, leftist people they have on Fox, which is a lot more than, say, people on the right that you might find on CNN.
Per capita.
Per capita. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But it's an interesting thing. You know, during the last election, Kent, one of the most important things that happened was that the mainstream media completely suppressed any information about Hunter Biden. And we all knew that was happening when important events were occurring in August, September, October of 2020 relating to Hunter Biden, which was a legitimate news story. Whether you believe in it or not, it was a legitimate news story. He was being invested by the authorities in Washington, and they suppressed all of that. After the election of Media Research Corporation Center, which is probably the best media watchdog.
Brent Bozell and his crew, what a great bunch!
Really, and they do their homework. They're quantitative. They research. They study, and they base their opinions on that. They did a study that showed, in essence, a very sophisticated study, that if Americans had known about what was going on with Hunter Biden, a very substantial number of them, enough to swing the election, would have changed their vote from Joe Biden to Donald Trump. So just that reality alone, one can make the case, not just influence, but actually determine the election of 2020. That's suppression.
That's amazing they could get away with this stuff. And of course, you know, had that been the case, they would have had to work really hard to find some more votes.
Yeah. Well, that's another story.
So quick question that I think people find fascinating. Where do you go to get your real news? I mean, I've known you a long time. I know you to be an avid reader. Where do you go to get what is real news?
There's a couple of shows I really like on Fox. I don't like all of the shows on Fox. And then I go to something called Citizens Free Press, which I like very much. It's really just a portal, but they lead to certain things that always interest me very, very much. I think there's a lot of really good news at the New York Post, including several really good opinionate pieces. Miranda Devine and Michael Goodwin, I think, are very, very good. And that's really just about it.
And besides Kent Emmons co-hosting or filling in for Robert Davi, what do you listen to for credible radio?
Well, I miss Rush Limbaugh, I'll tell you that. He's we can talk about him a minute because he is irreplaceable for me. You know, a lot of talk show hosts are boring because they're just complaining about things all the time. Rush always had a great new point of view about things, and he does seem to be irreplaceable so far.
He does. And, you know, Jim, you and I both come out of running comedy networks and founding comedy networks. He made it funny. And he made it compelling. He could take the driest subject and make it absolutely compelling. Jim, I got to thank you for being here with us. What a treat to have Jim Jimirro in studio. Alex Borla, I want to thank you. Alex is sitting here in studio on the right. You can't see him on camera right now. Eric Golub, comedian. Barry Nussbaum, best-selling author. Bart Baggett, of course, handwriting expert. Jim, where do people find you?
Well, it's Jimirro.com. It's really simple. My last name, JIMIRRO.com.
And you're performing at Beverly Hills Library on occasion, doing your show, your big band show, which is your passion. This is
the occasional Davi song.
I love it. That's right. I love it. Kent Emmons here, sitting in for the great Robert Davi. This is CRN Talk Radio Networks.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your